guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 3 easy and delicious one-pot meals that make for perfect weeknight dinners. So for this first recipe, we're going to be making spinach and cheese tortellini soup. And to my hot pan, I'm just adding about 3 tablespoons of butter. And then I'm going to be adding about half of this bag of pre-cut carrots. If you're going to use fresh carrots, go ahead and slice up thinly 2 large carrots. But just for convenience and making my life a whole lot easier, I decided just to go this route and do the pre-sliced carrots. Then I'm going to add about half of a small onion diced up. And if you are not a big fan of onion, I know a lot of people aren't, then just feel free to go ahead and skip the onion and just use onion powder. So now I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning up the carrots and the onions, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a tablespoon of garlic powder, and I don't usually measure my spices or anything, but for the sake of this video, I am trying to give you guys some measurements. And I'm also going to put in about half of a teaspoon or maybe half of a tablespoon of salt, and then I'm going to add just a dash of ground black pepper. And you're going to want to just incorporate everything really well, and you're going to cook this for about 6 to 8 minutes or until the vegetables are tender. And I'm going to be using this 48-ounce box of reduced sodium chicken broth, and we're going to use the whole box, but I'm going to pour some into my measuring cup just because we're going to be adding some all-purpose flour into this and whisking it up. So I'm going to add, I think, about 2 tablespoons, it doesn't have to be exact, but about 2 tablespoons of this all-purpose flour. And then I could not find my whisk because we just redid our kitchen a couple of months ago, and I still have stuff in a box, but I'm going to use a fork, which works perfectly fine. And we're going to whisk this up until there are no longer any clumps. Once your vegetables are pretty tender, then you're going to go ahead and add that entire rest of the chicken broth, and then we're going to also add that mixture that we just made. And you're going to give this a really good stir, and we're going to let it come up to a boil, and then we will add our tortellini. And I'm going to be adding a 5-cheese tortellini. It was actually a pack that I got from Sam's Club, a 2-pack. I don't know exactly how many ounces this was, but the last time I made it, I used I believe it was a 19-ounce bag of cheese tortellini. So that's just like a small bag of that. And I'm going to be adding, again, I'm not measuring any specific way, but this is about 2 really big handfuls or 3 smaller handfuls of spinach. And I know it seems like a lot, but this is going to wilt down. Then you're just going to let that boil for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add about 1 cup of heavy cream. If you don't have cream, don't worry, you can just use milk or half and half. Either one will do just fine. Then you're going to let that boil for about 5 minutes, and then you can go ahead after 5 minutes and serve it up. We really, really love this meal. It is definitely a family favorite, and we have made this multiple times at our house. This is definitely something that reminds me of like Olive Garden. It tastes so good. It tastes like restaurant quality, but it is so perfect for the fall time, and I know that you guys will enjoy this one. So the second recipe that we're going to be making is chicken and yellow rice or Spanish rice. And this recipe is literally so easy. I just added some oil to the bottom of my hot pan, and I'm using some bone-in skinless chicken thighs. And I'm just going to season these up, eyeballing it as I always do. And I just add some garlic powder, my favorite adobo seasoning. Then I'm just going to flip these over and season the other side. And I like to do this, seasoning them in the pan like this so that I don't have to dirty up any other dishes. And then I'm going to just let these cook on each side. They don't have to be fully cooked, but you want them to be pretty close to it. So once you see that it has that nice color on it, then I'm just going to add a splash of water to avoid any sticking and keeping the moisture and covering it up. You're also going to need a red bell pepper, and you're just going to chop that up or dice it however big you want them or however small. And I'm just going to throw that in with the chicken. Like I said, the chicken is not going to be fully cooked at this point, but you want it to be pretty close to it. So I'm just going to work those bell peppers in, and then I'm going to follow the package instructions on this yellow rice. So I'm going to add, I believe it says 4 cups of water, but I always add 1 more cup when I'm making this rice, so 5 cups. And once your water has come up to a boil, you're going to go ahead and add in your rice. And as it says on the package, you're going to stir the rice in for about a minute while it's boiling. Then I'm going to add in about half of this 12-ounce bag of sweet peas. You are welcome to skip this if you don't like that, but this is one way that I get my kids to actually eat some vegetables. It really does taste really good in this. And you're just going to cover that up and cook it for about 25 minutes. And once 25 minutes has passed, you can go ahead and fluff up your rice and serve it. And this is something that I make probably once a week because this is something that everybody in our family loves. So this is another recipe that I definitely recommend that you guys try. So this next recipe is a copycat chicken enchilada soup. And this is so good. I'm starting off by boiling some chicken thighs, and I'm going to use this small onion diced up, but again, if you don't like onion, just use onion powder. And I put some oil in my pan to heat up, and I'm throwing that onion in there and just going to cook the onion for about a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to add, I'm just going the easy route and using this pre-minced garlic, but I'm going to add about a tablespoon of that, and I'm going to cook that for another couple of minutes. Then I'm going to be adding some chicken broth, and I'm going to add about 5 cups of this and let that come to a boil. And if you're using the same size box, 48-ounce box of chicken broth, then you should still have a little bit left over. So I'm just going to throw that into my mixing cup or my measuring cup, and then I'm going to just add some water, and I'm going to fill that to about a total of 2 cups. And I'm going to be adding about 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And again, we're just going to whisk that all up until there are no longer any clumps. Next, you're going to be using some Velveeta cheese, and this is a 16-ounce block of Velveeta, and you're just going to dice that up into little pieces. And once your water has come up to a boil, then you can go ahead and add that mixture of the water and flour. And we're going to add this entire 10-ounce can of red enchilada sauce. And I'm using mild, but we definitely could have used like a hotter version of this. My kids did not end up eating it, but they are extremely picky. But anyway, so after that, you're going to very carefully add in your cheese. As you can see, I was so scared to get burned and for this to splash. And once the cheese has melted down, you can add in your chicken. This is about a total of 2 cups of shredded chicken, but you can add more or less, whatever your liking is. And as for seasoning, I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of some chili powder. I'm also going to add about half of a teaspoon of ground cumin, and I'm going to just kind of eyeball the salt and the pepper. You can add as much as you think, but just be careful with the salt, because remember that there is cheese in here, plenty of cheese, and you're going to top it with cheese, which is salty, so just be careful with the salt. The amount that I put right there is like the perfect amount. It wasn't too salty at all, and it was really good. So after you have mixed in all of your seasonings really well, you can go ahead and plate this up. And I just put some Monterey Jack cheese and some sharp cheddar cheese. And then I'm going to be using these tricolor tortilla strips from Walmart. And I'm also going to pair some tortilla chips on the side. And this recipe is so good, you guys. I definitely recommend that you guys try this. We love it. But anyways, that is it for today's video. I do hope that you guys love these ideas. And if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up.